Lyra moved slowly through the busy halls of the academy. Her small hands slid along the smooth walls, feeling the strange shapes and textures of the alien building. She could not see, but she could sense the energy around her, the hum of machinery, the chatter of students, the vibrations of feet on the floor. Most of the other students ignored her, but some did not. Some enjoyed making her life harder. Every day, a group of alien students waited near the stairs. They were bigger than her, with long limbs and sharp features, and they had cruel smiles that never faded. They would wait until she came close, then shove her down the steps. Lyra had grown used to it in a way. She learned to brace herself, to roll, to reduce the pain, but it still hurt. Each fall made her body ache and her spirit feel smaller. She never shouted or cursed. She never cried in front of them. She just got up and continued because she had no choice. No one seemed to care. Teachers were busy with their lessons. Other students were too scared to interfere, and the bullies felt untouchable. Lyra learned to move quietly, to keep her steps light, to avoid the eyes of those who would harm her. But no matter how careful she was, the bullies always found her. The stairs were their favorite place because it gave them a chance to show power. One day, as she reached the top of the stairs, she heard the familiar laughter behind her. "Here comes Lyra," one of the bullies hissed. Another replied, "Let's see if she can make it this time." Her heart sank. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and moved forward. She could feel the stairs under her feet and tried to focus. Before she could reach the next step, strong hands grabbed her shoulders and shoved her. She stumbled, hitting the steps with a thud. Pain shot through her leg and she landed on her side. She could hear the laughter, sharp and cruel. She took a moment to gather herself, brushing dust from her clothes. Her body ached, but she forced herself to stand. No one came to help. From across the hall, a human boy watched quietly. His name was Kale, and he had just arrived at the academy as an exchange student. He had never seen anything like this before. Humans were often told to respect others, to help when someone was in trouble. But here, on this alien planet, he saw a girl, an alien girl, suffering every day while no one did anything. His fists clenched and his jaw tightened. He wanted to run to her to stop the bullies, but something inside him told him to wait. He needed to understand the situation first. Kale watched every day as the same group pushed Lyra down the stairs. He noticed how small she looked compared to them, how gentle her voice was when she spoke to anyone, and how patiently she endured everything. Other students avoided the scene, pretending nothing happened. Some even joined in the laughter. Kale could not believe it. He felt anger rising in his chest. One afternoon, Kale followed Lyra after class. She walked slowly, guided by the sound of his footsteps and the walls around her. He could see the bruises on her arms and the red marks on her side from falling down the stairs. She did not complain. She did not cry. She only whispered softly to herself, "Just another day, just another day." Kale wanted to say something to tell her it would be okay, but the words stuck in his throat. He did not know if she would trust him. She might be used to being alone. Instead, he walked a little behind her, silently protecting her from any other harm. He noticed how carefully she moved, feeling her way through the corridors. It struck him how brave she was. Most students would have given up long ago. By the time they reached the quiet garden at the edge of the academy, Lyra paused and lifted her head slightly, sensing the soft hum of flowers and the wind through the trees. Kale stayed behind a few steps, letting her breathe in peace. He realized then that this was not just bullying. This was a daily struggle to survive in a place where no one cared. He also realized that he could not stay quiet forever. Lyra touched the petals of a glowing flower, feeling its smooth curves. She whispered to herself, "Maybe tomorrow will be better." Her voice was small but filled with hope, a fragile hope that life could be kinder. Kale felt a strange connection to her courage. He promised himself silently that he would do something. He would find a way to stop the bullying. Not with anger, not with force, but with courage, with care, and with human determination. As the sun of the alien planet dipped behind the distant towers, Lyra sat quietly on a bench, listening to the wind. Kale remained in the shadows, watching over her. He had no idea how it would happen or if he could really make a difference, but he knew one thing: he could not ignore it any longer. The hidden suffering had to end, and he would be the one to say, even if only once, enough. Kale woke early the next morning. The sun of the alien planet cast a soft golden light over the academy, making the walls glow. He thought about Lyra as he got ready. Her quiet courage stayed in his mind. He could not forget how she moved through the halls every day, brave yet vulnerable. Kale knew he had to do more than just watch. He had to understand the bullies, their habits, and find a way to help her safely. During breakfast in the dining hall, Kale observed the bullies from a distance. They were loud and confident, boasting to each other while pretending the rest of the students did not exist. Kale noticed small things. They always chose the same path to the stairs, they laughed before Lyra arrived, and they often tried to get others to join them. He took mental notes. Human strategy, he thought, might work if he was careful. After breakfast, Kale quietly approached Lyra in the hallway. "Good morning," he said softly, careful not to startle her. Lyra turned her head slightly, sensing his voice. "Good morning," she replied, her tone calm but tired. Kale smiled. "Do you want some help walking to class?" he asked. Lyra hesitated for a moment. Most students only offered pity or mocked her. But Kale's voice sounded different. Honest, steady, kind. "Yes, please," she said. Kale walked beside her, keeping a careful distance. He let her feel the walls when needed and guided her around obstacles. She moved more confidently with him than she had alone. Kale noticed how her steps became lighter when she sensed someone watching over her. As they approached the stairs, Kale felt his heart beat faster. He could already imagine the bullies waiting, smirking, ready to push her again. But instead of fear, he felt determination. This time he would not just watch. The bullies were there, just as Kale had predicted. "Look, she's coming," one of them shouted. The others laughed. Kale noticed the subtle way they prepared to grab her shoulders. "Lyra, stay close to me," Kale whispered. She nodded, trusting him completely. When the bullies reached her, Kale stepped forward quickly but calmly. "Stop," he said. His voice was firm but not loud. "Leave her alone." The bullies froze, surprised. Humans were rare in the academy, and most had no courage to interfere. Kale stood straight, looking directly at them, showing no fear. "What are you going to do about it, human?" one bully sneered. Kale smiled slightly. "I'm not going to fight you. But I will not let you hurt her anymore." The bullies laughed again, thinking it was a joke. But Kale noticed a small hesitation. No human had ever confronted them like this before. The confidence in his voice, the calmness in his stance, it was new and it made them unsure. Lyra's fingers brushed Kale's arm. She whispered, "Thank you." Kale nodded. He understood that even small acts mattered. It was not just about stopping the push today, it was about showing her she had allies. After a tense moment, the bullies backed away slightly. "This isn't over," one of them muttered. Kale did not move. He let them retreat, knowing this was the first victory. Throughout the day, Kale followed Lyra quietly. He helped her with small things, finding the right classroom, avoiding obstacles, and navigating crowded halls. Each act of support strengthened their bond. Lyra began to smile more, though softly, and Kale felt a sense of hope he had never expected to feel so strongly. During lunch, Kale thought about what he could do next. He realized that words and small help were not enough. To truly protect Lyra, he would need allies. Other students might secretly disapprove of the bullies but were too afraid to act. If he could show them it was safe to stand together, maybe the bullying could end for good. After the academy day ended, Kale walked with Lyra to the quiet garden. The wind played with her hair, and she touched the glowing flowers, feeling their smooth petals. "It's nice here," she said softly. Kale nodded. "I'll make sure you can come here safely every day." Lyra smiled faintly. "Thank you, it feels like someone cares." Kale felt a warmth in his chest. He realized that courage was not only about standing up to bullies. It was about helping others find strength within themselves, showing that someone would always be there to protect them. As the stars appeared in the alien sky, Kale promised silently that he would do everything he could to keep Lyra safe. He did not yet know how the bullies would respond, or how the other students might act, but he felt ready. Courage, he understood now, started with one choice, the choice to stand when it was easier to stay silent. Lyra sat on a bench, breathing in the cool evening air. Kale stayed close, a silent guardian. He knew the next days would be difficult, but for the first time, Lyra was not alone. And for the first time he felt the weight of responsibility, the quiet power of human courage, and the hope that small acts could change a world. The next morning, Kale woke early thinking about Lyra. He had watched her struggle for days and he could no longer stay silent. Today he decided he would do more than follow her quietly. He would stand up to the bullies and show them that their actions would not go unchallenged. Lyra was already moving carefully through the hallways when Kale found her. "Good morning, Lyra," he said softly. "Good morning," she replied, her voice calm as always. But Kale noticed a hint of nervousness. She could sense the day was different. "I'll be with you today," Kale said. "No one will bother you while I'm nearby." Lyra nodded and allowed him to walk beside her. The stairs loomed ahead, the same stairs where the bullies waited every day. Kale's heart pounded, but he kept his steps steady. He had thought carefully about what he would do. He would not fight them physically. That could make things worse. Instead, he would use his voice, his presence, and his courage. As they approached, the bullies saw them and sneered. "Here she comes again," one said. "Still needs a human to help her?" Kale stopped a few steps away. He met their gaze and said clearly, "Leave her alone. She doesn't deserve this. You will not push her today." The bullies laughed, thinking he was joking. "And if we do?" one asked, folding his long arms. Kale smiled faintly, keeping his tone calm. "Then I will not back away. You will have to answer for it in front of everyone. But I am not afraid." A small pause followed. No human had ever spoken to them like this. They had power because others were silent. Kale's confidence, simple as it was, made them hesitate. Even a tiny doubt can make bullies unsure of their strength. Lyra's fingers brushed Kale's arm. "Thank you," she whispered. Her trust gave him more courage. The bullies took a step forward, but Kale held his ground. "If you touch her, I will not fight you. I will only stand here and watch. Others will see your cruelty. And you will lose more than you think." The leader of the group scowled. He tried to push Kale aside, but Kale moved smoothly, not avoiding the bullies aggressively, just enough to stay between them and Lyra. The other students around started to notice. Whispers spread. Some students slowed down to watch. Kale realized he had the attention of the academy. Lyra took a careful step forward. She was scared, but she felt protected. Kale's presence made her feel brave. She had endured so much, and now she sensed someone willing to act for her. The bullies stepped back, confused by the calm defiance of a human. They had expected fear, not courage. "This isn't over," one muttered, but his voice lacked the usual confidence. Kale nodded. He knew it would not end today, but the first victory was in showing strength. Throughout the day, Kale stayed close to Lyra. He helped her navigate corridors, avoid obstacles, and sit safely in the classroom. Each time the bullies approached, he calmly stepped in. No shouting, no anger, just quiet courage that others could see. Even the smaller students, who had been afraid before, began to follow him from a distance, inspired by his bravery. During lunch, Kale and Lyra sat under a large tree in the academy garden. She picked at the glowing petals of alien flowers, her fingers tracing their smooth edges. "Do you think it will really change?" she asked quietly. Kale thought for a moment. "I don't know yet. But someone has to start. If I do nothing, nothing will change. If I act, even in small ways, it could be the beginning." Lyra smiled faintly. I think you're helping more than you realize." Kale nodded. He understood that courage was not just about confronting bullies, it was about inspiring hope in others. Lyra's trust and quiet strength gave him energy he had never felt before. The rest of the day passed without major incidents, but Kale knew the bullies were planning. He had seen their glances, their whispered words. He had to think ahead, to prepare Lyra and, eventually, the other students who might join him. As evening fell, Lyra walked to the quiet garden and Kale followed. The air was cool and the glowing plants lit their path. She sat on a bench, breathing slowly. Kale stood nearby, alert but calm. "I never thought anyone would help me," Lyra said softly. "You're not alone anymore," Kale replied. "I won't let anyone push you down again." For the first time, Lyra felt the weight of the academy lift slightly. She could breathe without fear. Kale's quiet courage had created a space where she could feel safe. Kale looked at her and thought about the days to come. There would be challenges, more tests of courage, and more obstacles. But he understood something important. Courage could be quiet. It did not need to be loud or violent. It only needed to be steady, consistent, and true. That night, Kale lay in his dorm thinking about the next steps. The bullies had been challenged, Lyra had been protected, and a small hope had been born in the hearts of other students. He did not yet know how the story would end, but he knew that the first stand was made. And sometimes he realized the first stand was the hardest, and the most important. Tomorrow he would stand again. And the day after. And the day after that, until the hidden suffering ended and Lyra could walk freely without fear in the academy halls. The next morning, Kale woke with a plan. He could not protect Lyra alone forever. The bullies were strong and cunning, but other students had seen what he had done. Some had admired his courage quietly. Now it was time to gather support. He needed allies. As Lyra moved through the hallway, Kale followed closely as always. He whispered softly, "Today will be better. You'll see." She gave him a small smile, trusting him completely. Kale began talking to other students, one by one. He spoke quietly at first, careful not to draw attention from the bullies. "I've seen what happens to Lyra every day," he said. "It isn't right. We can help her together. If we stand as a group, they cannot hurt her." Some students looked worried. "What if they turn on us?" one whispered. Kale nodded. "That's possible. But if we all stay calm and clever, we can protect her. It will also show them that their cruelty is not invisible." Slowly, students began to agree. Some were alien students who had been quietly unhappy with the bullying. Others were new like Kale and wanted to do the right thing. Together they formed a small group, walking near Lyra each day, subtly making her path safer. Lyra noticed the change immediately. Fewer hands reached for her shoulders, fewer eyes followed her with cruel intent. She could sense protection in the air. Her confidence grew just slightly, but enough for her to walk with her head held a little higher. Kale also taught Lyra simple tricks to sense her surroundings better. She learned to listen for echoes of footsteps, to feel vibrations in the floor, and to notice slight changes in temperature or air. Each trick gave her a small advantage, and each small advantage gave her courage. One afternoon, Kale and his group saw the bullies preparing near the stairs. The usual laughter and sneers were there, but this time Kale and the others stayed calm. "Remember," he whispered, "we are strong together. Just stay steady and confident." As Lyra approached, Kale positioned himself in front of her, with the allies forming a protective line along the walls. The bullies stopped, confused by the human-led group surrounding her. They had expected the usual fear, but now there was calm defiance and unity. "You can't do this anymore," Kale said firmly. "She is not alone. If you try, everyone here will see." The leader of the bullies scowled. "This is ridiculous," he muttered. He looked at his friends, unsure what to do. The other students' calm faces made him hesitate. For the first time he felt doubt. Lyra's fingers brushed Kale's arm. "Thank you," she whispered. Kale nodded, feeling a warmth inside him. He realized that courage was contagious. When one person stands, others can follow. Throughout the day the bullies tried smaller tricks, but they failed. Kale and his allies were always there, subtly guiding Lyra, helping her navigate and making it clear that she had protection. Word spread through the academy that a small group had decided to stand up to the bullies. Other students began to quietly join the effort, offering help when no one was watching. During lunch, Kale and Lyra sat under the large tree in the garden with a few allies nearby. "I never thought so many would help," Lyra said softly, tracing the petals of glowing flowers. Kale smiled. "It only takes a few people to start a change. Courage grows when others see it." Lyra nodded slowly. "I feel safe. For the first time in a long time." Kale's heart felt full. He realized that protecting Lyra was not just about stopping the bullies, it was about building trust, community, and hope. The academy had been a place of fear for her, but it was starting to become a place of courage. As the day ended, Kale walked with Lyra to the quiet garden. The stars began to shine in the alien sky. "Tomorrow we'll continue," he said softly. "The bullies may try again, but they will face more than one person." Lyra smiled faintly. "Thank you, for everything." Kale nodded. "We're all stronger together. And you're brave, Lyra. Never forget that." That night, Kale lay in his dorm thinking about the days ahead. The bullies would not give up easily, but he knew they could be outsmarted. With careful planning, patience, and the help of others, Lyra could finally walk through the halls without fear. Courage, he realized, was not just one person standing alone. It was many hearts beating together, protecting what was right, and refusing to let cruelty continue. The first stand had inspired others, and now that small flame of bravery was growing. Kale closed his eyes, imagining the future. Lyra walking safely, smiling freely, and the academy slowly changing because a few students decided to act. It would take time, but he believed it could happen. Courage, after all, could spread just like hope. And for the first time, Kale felt certain that the hidden suffering would not continue forever. He had started something bigger than himself. The next morning, Kale woke early, feeling both nervous and determined. Today felt different. He could sense that the bullies had grown cautious after the last few days. But Kale knew they might try one last act to regain their power. This time he would be ready. Lyra would not face them alone. As Lyra moved through the hallways, Kale walked beside her, flanked by a small group of allies. Other students had quietly joined them, following Kale's lead. The walls of the academy seemed less threatening now. Lyra's steps were lighter, her fingers brushing the walls with more confidence. She had hope, and hope was stronger than fear. The bullies waited near the stairs, their expressions sharp. "We will see who is in charge," one said quietly. They had realized that Kale and his allies were no ordinary students. Their confidence had been shaken, but they were not ready to give up. Kale took a deep breath. "Stay calm," he whispered to Lyra. "Follow my lead." As Lyra approached, Kale stepped forward, standing firmly. The allies moved to the sides, forming a protective line along the walls and stairs. The bullies hesitated. They were no longer certain of their power. The hall was full of other students now, quietly watching from a distance. The bullies could feel eyes on them, judging them. Kale spoke clearly. "Stop this. Lyra is not your target anymore. Your actions will not go unnoticed." His voice carried calm authority, not anger. "Everyone here sees what you do. You are not above anyone." The bullies looked at each other, unsure. They had expected fear, not a group of students standing together. They tried to push Kale, but the students subtly shifted to block them. The hallway was no longer their playground. Lyra stood quietly behind Kale. She felt strength in the presence of her allies. Her heart no longer raced with fear. She could feel courage not only from Kale, but from everyone who had chosen to stand with her. One of the bullies made a small movement, trying to grab Lyra's shoulder. Kale stepped in swiftly but without aggression. "If you touch her, everyone will see what you are," he said firmly. The bully hesitated. The human determination and the group's silent support created a wall the bullies could not break. Other students began to step forward subtly, showing that Kale was not alone. Whispers of support spread through the crowd. The bullies realized that their cruelty had failed to intimidate anyone. They looked at each other nervously. For the first time, their confidence faltered completely. Lyra lifted her head slightly, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face and the safety around her. She whispered, "Thank you, Kale. I feel free." Kale nodded. "You always had courage. You just needed others to see it." The bullies, realizing they could no longer dominate, muttered and backed away. They had lost their control, and there was no one left to enforce their cruelty. Teachers arrived shortly after, alerted by the crowd. They observed the students' unity and recognized the change. The bullies faced gentle but firm consequences, enough to teach them respect but not harsh punishment. The focus was on justice, not revenge. Lyra's friends and Kale's allies gathered around her. The hall, once a place of fear, now felt warm and safe. Students smiled at her, offering kind words. Even those who had been silent before now showed support. Lyra's world had changed, not through violence but through courage, patience and unity. Later, in the quiet garden, Lyra and Kale sat together on a bench. The glowing flowers cast soft light around them. "I never thought anyone would help me," Lyra said softly. "You don't have to face it alone," Kale replied. "We all did what we could. And you inspired us too, Lyra. Your courage made this possible." Lyra smiled faintly. "I feel stronger now. And not just because of you. Everyone who stood with me, it's like a shield." Kale nodded. "That's how courage works. It spreads. One act of bravery can inspire many." The students of the academy began to speak differently. Respect for each other grew. The stairway, once a place of fear, became just another part of the school. Lyra moved freely, guided by her senses and her confidence. Kale continued to walk with her sometimes, but she no longer needed constant protection. She had learned that bravery was not just about standing alone, it was about standing with others. As the alien sun set, Kale and Lyra looked at the horizon. Stars sparkled in the sky, promising new days. Lyra felt joy she had never known. She had survived her hidden suffering, and she had discovered the power of friendship, courage, and hope. Kale realized that humans, even in a world far from Earth, could make a difference. Courage, empathy, and determination could inspire change in any place, even among those who seemed impossible to reach. By standing up, Kale had shown that humans could teach others about kindness, fairness, and bravery. Lyra stood and turned to Kale. "Thank you," she said simply, her voice filled with quiet strength. Kale smiled. "No, thank you. You taught me as much as I helped you. Courage is not just about stopping bullies, it's about believing in what is right, even when it is hard." The academy was no longer a place of fear for Lyra. It had become a place of growth, courage, and respect. And in the quiet moments, Kale understood that this story, like the stars above, was a reminder. Even small acts of bravery can change the world, one life at a time.